for
Great.
All right, I guess I will get started. Welcome everyone to day 3 of the showcase. This year for the 2021 Media Study Student Showcase, the theme we chose to represent our various events was Rebuilding Community. Media is community. It defines the way we see the world, the way we manipulate thoughts. It is vital to our understanding of who we are and who we wish to become. To rebuild community is to reconnect, to reaffirm who we are as creators, makers, authors, coders, animators, designers, and artists. It is through sharing our work, our hopes, dreams, and quirks that we recognize our diversity, engage empathy, and strengthen our resolve.
Yes, so to start off today's event, I would like to welcome Sama Waham to talk about UB's Media Study internship opportunities and answer some questions after that students might have about getting involved. So without further ado, let me welcome Sama.
Thank you, Casey and Jillian. I'd like to thank the whole student committee. Special thanks to John and Jason as well for their supervision, for allowing me to take a few minutes from Ed's presentation, who generously shared it with me. And thanks to all of you, we are going to collaborate, and we'll talk about this at the end of today's presentation. So I'm just going to share screen to give you a little visual as I talk a little bit about UB Films, and then hand the mic to Ed, who's going to walk you through what CAS and UB can offer, the type of support for internships. So basically a little bit about me before I start. I started with UB 5 years ago as a visiting assistant professor, and I got very involved in various student activities right away, such as different internships, as well as student events, showcases, projects, and festivals, year-end events, and whatnot. But specifically, I would like to talk about internships. And one of the issues and challenges I noticed that we were dealing with in terms of dozens of internships every semester was the extent of questionable internship opportunities by prospective employers and internship companies and institutions that offered less of learning experience and were much more invested in what UB has to offer, like the equipment room and media study. I was just telling a few people, the UB's high-speed internet. But in short, I want to tell you that many of them were exploiting students, unfortunately, and not really focusing on providing them with a learning, hands-on good experience that could contribute to their education as, the last milestone in their usually senior year or whatnot. But and this is when we started conceiving the idea, discussing it with the heads of the department, with CAS, with the dean's office. One of the, 3 years ago, we started, let's say unofficially, a program that was yet to be named formally, and we started providing opportunities. We started investigating each and every potential internship, whether it's something that students researched and found, or whether it's something that was offered to us by a prospective employer. And we started to investigate that further and be a lot more rigorous with what counts as a proper internship and what kind of support can we offer students instead of letting them do something that is not really going to contribute much to their education. I believe it was 2 years ago, and Elaine is with us here today. I'm going to also introduce her at the end. 2 years ago, we started the program officially under the name UB Films, although it is not solely focused on filmmaking. It's a film and media internship program that aims at professionalizing students, protecting them from questionable internship opportunities, providing them with internship opportunities. It is offered as a course, an advanced production course once a year, but it's really a year-round ongoing program that has hands-on film and media production internships within the Department of Media Study, providing students with a safe and supervised film and media programming and curating opportunities and others that speak to their interests and needs, most importantly. The objective is mainly to provide them with experience in their fields where they can leave a program like this or a course like this or an experience like that with hands-on experience, with knowledge that speaks to their interest, with an experience in education that aims at professionalizing them, that supports their portfolios and personal websites, for example, teaching them set etiquette, teaching them collaboration, networking with each other as well as with guest speakers, which I'm going to talk about shortly now. We've supported students in applying to graduate schools and putting together their portfolios, applications, and how to research. This is a simple question that we don't have a specific course that addresses. For example, I'm interested in grad school. What do I do next? How do you plan for that? How do you research schools? How do you zoom in? And what are the things to look for if you are interested in new media, computational media, music, drama, theater, film, photography, etc. We've even had workshops on festival submissions, crowdfunding, and different topics that really varied. It's like I graduated, I have films or I have projects, I've created a few games in my portfolio, game design projects. What do I do next? We also aim at supporting. These are what you're looking at here is a number of different projects that UB Films students and interns curated and programmed solely, and they have the lead in putting together the year-end project showcase in December for a few years, as well as the media study show, which I'm very proud of you guys, and that you're putting that together here under less than optimal circumstances. At the far right is just one example of a very interesting project that spoke to not just filmmaking and film production, but looking at the needs of discussions that we haven't had, discussions that speak to artistic merit, as well as to independent filmmaking, as well as social justice awareness. Students actually put together a mental health awareness campaign that we started working on in 2019 and completed and launched in 2020, DMS student show that was live streamed. And it was focusing on addressing a discussion or highlighting a topic that we talk about a lot in various projects creatively, but students decided to address it through a different and inventive approach to talk about it to an audience of people who suffer quietly and an audience who needs to be more aware of what is happening around them. And they named it, we had proposals and pitches, and one of the media interns is actually here with us, a veteran, May. They named it Breathe In, Speak Out. And it's a project that we are actually going to continue working on when we offer UB Films the course again next semester. In short, some of the topics that we've addressed so far, and some of our collaborators were the Arts Collaboratory Program. We've worked together with the Dance and Theater Department, with the Music Department. We filmed and documented and edited plasma events interns have put together for 2.5 years, year-end events and showcases, programmed and curated all the events around that as well. We've worked with Honors College, with Professor Dalia Muller, and this is a long-term ongoing project where we started filming a course titled The Impossible Project that focuses on inventive approaches to teaching that she's putting together. And we did 2 semesters of shooting, and we will continue round 3 starting next fall. We also collaborate with UB's production group and recently had a connection with Buffalo Filmworks, and this is going to be a new collaboration where we will work with them on providing students with internship opportunities on film sets. So in short, these are some of the areas. I could talk for hours about it, so I will share with you my contact information and hand the mic shortly back to Ed, because I promised him 5 minutes. The teaching and evaluation to some of these areas is through workshops, screenings, in-class exercises, and very important, guest speakers and field trips. Assignments, of course, and all of these are customized to the students' needs and to their desired areas and what they're aspiring to work on, as well as finally placements and the performance, the general performance of their projects and completed tasks based on their responsibilities. So this is UB Films. It's a production-focused internship program in media study. And our hope is that we're going to continue collaborating with different departments, different schools and offices. The highlight of my week is a new collaboration that we will start with Ed. We will support all their needs and connect him with students who are looking for opportunities, as well as rely on them for placements and for projects that we can help with. Many of our students have worked as research assistants with faculty members who are completing projects within the department and other departments. That's also something that we highlight. And I'm happy to say that I'm in touch with most interns who survived that internship so far. And most of them, if not all, the ones that I'm in touch with, are employed. They started working within their fields for the most part and are getting paid for their projects. Lastly, I'm going to leave you with contact information. I collaborate and work with 2 of my colleagues, Michael Boucard, who is the program manager, as well as Elaine, who is the first point of contact, and without whom we will all collapse. She is she keeps track of everything, all the communication and files of all applications and student opportunities. So I look forward to connecting with anyone who has questions and to supporting your needs and your portfolios, and happy to answer any questions now or later if you have any. Thank you again, everyone, for giving me a chance to introduce you to the program, and of course to Ed for his generosity. And I hand you the mic now, Ed. Thanks.
Sama, thank you so much for that information. And yes, as Sama said, we will now hand things over to Ed Brodka, who's from the Career Services Department, as a guest host to further discuss how students can get involved in the media program, how to get connected with professionals in the field, as well as how to utilize sites like LinkedIn to network. Ed,
Cool.
go ahead.
Great. Thanks so much. It's really great to be here. As you said, my new job title is actually Career Design Consultant, and our new office name is the Career Design Center. And we renamed ourselves because we don't just provide career services. What we do is we help you to design your future, to design your career, your life. So I think you can really relate to that in terms of your artistic background and the way you design, just like you design a film, right? You're designing your career. So what we do in our office, lots of great stuff on our website. The link is just at UB Career Services, and that'll get you there. We do resume, cover letter, online profile reviews. Those are 20-minute appointments. We also do 30-minute job and internship search appointments. So we're going to work with you about your own job and internship search strategy. A lot of the things that I'm going to talk about right now are what we do in those one-on-one appointments. So hopefully, if you want one of those one-on-one appointments, you can get one. I'll show you how to schedule that online. We also do practice interviews, right? You might find the job that you want to apply to, the internship, but if you don't get through that interview, you're not going to get that that job or that internship. So you could actually schedule a practice interview with our office. We're going to actually go on Zoom with you, and we record it, and then it's great practice for that interview. On our website, there's a live chat function where you can chat in any questions you have about anything at all, and you'll get an answer right away. We also have lots of events, what we call skill shops or workshops that we're doing in the fall, and then job and internships fairs. So one of the things that we just started, and it's cool that you have this topic of community, because we started what we call 6 career communities. And we are asking students to go on to Bullseye Powered by Handshake. And then when they get into their profile or their account, they can actually choose one of these or 2 of these career communities. So I actually lead the career community called Arts, Design, Entertainment, and Communications. It's actually how I met Jillian, actually, because Jillian was interested in a broadcasters fair that we were promoting earlier in the semester. And what happened is with that fair is, I knew that there was an event in our handshake system. So I could go into that event and then invite all of the students that have already signed up for this Arts, Design, Entertainment, and Communications career community, and they'd automatically get that information. So then you're going to get emails from time to time about relevant industry trends and employers and things like that. So to do that, you're going to go into your Bullseye Powered by Handshake profile. And then upper right-hand corner, you're going to see a little picture of yourself if you have your picture on your profile or your initials. And you're going to click there and it'll say career. One of the drop downs will be career interests. And then you're choosing your career interests. What industries are you interested in? What jobs or internships? Where are you looking? What job titles? And then one of the things you could choose in career interests is career clusters of these career communities. So I urge you to get into your handshake profile, go into those career interests, and then join my Arts, Design, Entertainment career cluster, okay? Or career community. Great. So to find a job or an internship, I always say you have to know what employers are looking for. And I'm not talking about, just media studies related employers or film related or game design employers. I'm talking about all employers. There are certain things that they want you to have, right? And then you make sure that you get what they're looking, that you have what they're looking for, and that you develop those types of skills. And then you make sure that you can articulate those skills on your resume, your online profiles, you're in your interviews, you want to articulate that you have those skills. So what are those skills, right? So what I want you to do right now in the chat box, students, I want you to chat in there what you think employers are looking for across the board. What are skills, competencies that you think they're looking for? Go for it. Oh, and also, if you want to put in the chat too, you could put in, what is your area of interest in media study? Like, is it game design, film? What are you looking for? And also, I want you to put in those competencies that you think employers are looking for. All right, let's see what we got here. Reliability, good work ethic, patience, integrity, strong skill set, attentiveness, communication skills. Great, good. All right. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you what they're looking for. So this would be a great slide to take a picture of, right? When it's up on your screen, right? And I'm going to show you a website too, where you can actually find out more about these competencies. They want career and self-development. In other words, they want you to be able to look at your career and figure out what your strengths are, your weaknesses, make connections in your area of interest, right? Career self-development. And also be able to learn. Like I want to hire someone who doesn't think they have it all figured out already, just because they have their degree, but they're constantly trying to learn. And in your field, especially with changes in technology happening so fast, you always have to learn new things. Communication, being able to speak to people, right? Written communication, talking to people, just really having a good conversation with people. You're going to have to talk to those clients, right? things like that. And also you're going to hear later from our alumni, and Casey's going to lead a conversation with our alumni that are on this call. And I want you, maybe the alums in your conversations, you could talk about some of these skills that you utilize in your jobs already. Critical thinking skills. To me, this is problem solving. It's figuring out how to solve a problem, being creative about addressing a problem, right? Equity and inclusion, right? Being able to work with all different types of backgrounds and people from all different languages and cultures. Whoops, I don't know how that did happen. Teamwork is in there, right? Got to work together with a team. Professionalism, meeting deadlines, right? Showing up on time, doing what you're supposed to do, right? Leadership, not bossing people around, but being able to show when did you take initiative? When did you step up and volunteer to do something, right? Like Jillian and Casey, this is a great example. Them planning this event is a great example of their leadership, right? And then lastly, technology, right? No matter what your technology niche is within your field, right? So these are 8 things that all employers are looking for. Now you can go onto a website. They're called the NACE, which stands for National Association of Colleges and Employers. They just put these out, revised names of these things. So if you Google career readiness competencies, you're going to go to their website and it gives explanations about those and behaviors and things like that. Also, there's a way for you to assess yourself on those competencies right on our website. It's called Focus 2, and there's an assessment on our website you can get to called Focus 2, and then within that is an assessment where you can assess yourself on these competencies, and then it gives you ideas and tips for how to get better at those competencies. And then one of my favorite ways to do this is to practice articulating, practice answering interview questions related to these competencies. And there's a website on our, a tool on our website called Big Interview. And Big Interview is where you basically do an online mock interview and you choose the questions and things like that. And one of the question sets, the custom sets, is about competencies and skills. So you could practice answering questions about your creativity or your communication. So Big Interview. All right. Okay. Preparing for the search, you're going to need a resume, right? There's a resume page on our website. It's got resume samples, resume templates, what you should put on your resume. We also have a new tool called VMock, which is what you can download your resume or upload your resume into this tool, and through artificial intelligence, it's gonna rate your resume on how well the presentation, the content, and the competencies that you address in that. There's also information on our website about writing cover letters, and of course, online profiles like our own Bullseye powered by Handshake and LinkedIn, which is what I'll talk about. This is my favorite thing to talk about. I talk about this in every appointment and in every presentation. I call it the 3 Ps to finding a job or an internship. So the first P is postings. It's just what you'd think you would do, right? You go on a website, you look at a job posting or an internship posting, and then what do? You submit your resume and your cover letter, and you wait. You hope for the best, right? One of 3 things is going to happen. You're either going to get called back for an interview, great, or they're going to say, no, we're not going to interview you at this time. Or they might not even get back to you at all, that you even submitting your resume and cover letter. So doing this alone is a very disheartening and, quite frankly, not a very effective way to find your internship or your job. So then you move on to what we call prospecting. So prospecting is where you target companies that hire people with your skills, or that hire people or maybe given internships to media study majors in the past. And now, depending on what you're interested in, maybe you want to do something in New York City with film, or LA, or music, or game design. So then you would target game design companies, and then what do? The 3rd P. You reach out to people who work in those companies already, and you ask them for advice about how to apply there. So especially if you're looking for a full-time job, like a great example of this is my nephew. He's a medical technologist at Children's Hospital here in New York City. And what he tells me is that because he works for Kaleida Health Systems of hospitals, if he refers anyone for any job in any Kaleida Health System hospital, meaning he submits their resume for them and they get the job, he gets paid $1,000, right? Which means that if you reach out to someone who works at CNN and you maybe get to know them, maybe convince them to submit your resume for you, and you get the job, they're gonna get paid to do that. So it's a win-win situation, right? For internships, I would say the easiest way to find an internship is this. You find a past intern. You find someone who did an internship the year before you. You reach out to that intern and or that student, and you say, oh, I see from your LinkedIn profile that you did an internship last year at NBC Universal. And then you ask them for advice about applying for the internship. Who did they talk to? Who supervised them? So then you reach out to their supervisor at that internship and you say, oh, I talked to Ed Brodka. He did the internship last summer. He referred me to talk to you about an internship for this coming summer. Now, if you do that, I can almost guarantee you're not going to get ghosted by that company. At least you're probably going to get an interview. You still got to get through the interview, but at least you're going to get your foot in the door. Okay. So it's all about really not looking for jobs or internships, but looking for people who will then lead you to that job or that internship. How do you reach out to someone? Say on LinkedIn, right? In fact, the way I found the panelists, that your alumni, was I went into LinkedIn and I searched for media study alums. And I said, oh, I see from your LinkedIn profile that you were a media study major at UB and you're now working in game design. And then I said, I'm a career coach at UB, putting together a panel of alumni for media study majors. And then hoping to connect with you on LinkedIn. Once we connected on LinkedIn, I could then email them the information about today's panel. So you're doing the same thing, but instead of looking for them to be on a panel, you're looking for them to get career advice from you, just like your alums later in our session are going to give you some career advice. Okay, some really great tools for that. There's a thing called the Career Connector Network. Oh, also, I'll send this PowerPoint to Jillian so she could share it with people on the call. I'll also post it on my LinkedIn profile in my featured section, right on my LinkedIn profile. So you'll be able to see it. We have a thing called the Career Connector Network. I would say this is the best kept secret at UB. I'm going to put in the chat the link to this. One second. This is so cool. All right. So it's a way of finding people. Let me make sure I'm sharing the right screen here. Yeah. Okay. So I'm in Career Connector Network. Website's buffalo.firsthand.co. You're going to go in here and you're going to click Get Advice. Then make an account for yourself using your UB login information. I'm going to get in through my LinkedIn, but make the account through Buffalo University Buffalo sign in. Now watch. I get in here, I sign in for my LinkedIn profile. Eventually, and you're going to have to it's going to take you a little while to make a profile. You're going to answer all these weird questions about yourself, where you're from, what your major, blah, blah, blah. Just do it. You get through it. Eventually, you're going to see at the top, it'll say people. Now we're going to search for people who've already put themselves into this system to give you advice. So I'm going to search for the people in here by an industry under art, and I'm going to say animation, design, graphic design, motion picture and film, music, performing arts, writing and editing, and photography. Why not? And here they are. So now you're going to look through here and you're going to see people in those fields of interest. Look, here's an account executive, primetime sales at CBS. Let's see. Yeah. This person was at Time Inc. Right? And what's really cool, when I click on these people, it's going to give me the times that they've already put in their calendar that they will meet with you by phone. It's that easy. I click on that time, that person is going to get an email that will say someone wants to meet with you through the Career Connector Network, and then you're going to meet with them, right? And so utilize this tool and then encourage, and my alums today that are here, get into that system. You click on get advice and you get into that system. Okay, the next tool we're going to talk about is your handshake profile. So let me stop sharing again, take a little breath here, and I'm going to log into my handshake profile. To get the handshake, I just Google UB handshake or Buffalo handshake. You can also get to it from our website. Okay, now here's what you're going to do in here. First thing you do, go to your upper right hand corner, click on your picture if you got your picture in your profile, which it should be, and then you're going to click on career interests. This is where I'm going to choose what I want this system to show me. So I'm going to click my arts, design, entertainment, career cluster, my industry. Yeah, I want to click on movies, TV, movies, TV, performing arts, right? And then maybe some job functions if you want. You don't have to put anything in here, but then you're going to save your career interests, right? Now I want you to make sure, just like you have a good LinkedIn profile, a good resume, you're going to make a good handshake profile. Get a picture in there, put your education will already be in here. You're going to put in here your work experience. You could even put in your projects and links to the projects that you've done, like a link to your portfolio right in here. You're going to add skills in here, like your technical skills, right? And then you're going to upload your resume. Now, you have a complete profile. You're 5 times more likely to be seen by employers who already have a profile that they're looking for you from. Now I'm going to go to jobs. I'm going to click on the jobs tab. These are postings, right? There's 13,000 plus, 13 million jobs. No, 13,000 plus jobs. Now let's look for the jobs by location. Now let's say New York City, Buffalo, and Rochester. Now I'm going to filter those jobs that are posted in here by industry. Always think industry, not job function, right? So I'm going to look by industry of, where is it? Industry other, and I'm going to put in here TV, music, and TV, music, and movies. Okay, and here they are. Here's 23. Show me the internships, right? Here's one, virtual summer internship at AMC Networks. Here's podcast, Gotham Podcast Studio. This is a UB alum who owns this company, right? Let's see, Star Baby Enterprises, Gotham Podcasting, right? So what you do is you look at your job posting, AMC Networks. Now watch. Now I click on the AMC Networks link. This is AMC Networks, right? Now look, here's 94 students who worked there before or working there now. 94 who are on UB's or some school's handshake system. Now I can actually message them through this system, or look for the UB people only. Well, UB the first at AMC Networks. So I would look up these people on LinkedIn, connect with them on LinkedIn, reach out to them, set up a conversation with them, and find out how did they get their internship, their digital media internship at WeTV at AMC Networks, right there. Okay, if they can do it, you could do it. When I look in jobs, now I could also look under employers. These are all the employers who've ever posted a job on any school's handshake system. Now I'm going to look at them by their industry. I'll just pick on TV, movies and music. Here they are. Over 8,000 employers in that industry have posted a job in handshake at one time or another. I can even sort it by location, like New York City. Here they are, 85 records, right? 120 DB films, bam. I click on that. I can reach out to someone and reach out to someone at a company and ask them about a possible internship. All right, go to events. Now I can click on events. We have a job search boot camp coming up. We're gonna go over some of this stuff and more on May 17th. We're gonna do a lot more with interviewing skills. So go into here, click register, and you're coming to that virtual event. Next, what have other media studies students at UB have done? Let's find out. Go to students. Let's search by alumni only of University of Buffalo. And here they are. Provided they've kept an updated handshake profile. They're probably more likely to keep a LinkedIn profile that's up to date. But here you go. Here you can find them. Here's a social media assistant at Rosella Studio. I click on her profile, and there she is. I can reach out to him. Again, I'd probably look for her on LinkedIn. You want to make an appointment with me? I know I'm going through this fast. All you got to do, go to Career Center, click on Appointments, and choose the job internship search appointment in the industry of your choice. Look for me as a staff member, and you can make an appointment with me, and we can work one-on-one with this stuff. Next thing I got to show you is LinkedIn, and I'll finish with that, and then hand it over to Casey and our wonderful alums. So this is my LinkedIn profile. Think about this LinkedIn profile as not just an online resume. I want you to think about it as a way as a portfolio of your work, right? A portfolio of your work. You could feature your work in the featured section. You can upload media. You can upload websites. You can upload videos, right? You could put a background photo here. Make sure you have a photo here. And then make sure you put in keywords about yourself here, not just student at UB, right? And you're making a really good profile. I don't have time to go really into depth into LinkedIn, but what you do, just go to my LinkedIn profile and Brockton. In my featured section, there's a link right here to a free webinar recording about how to make a good LinkedIn profile and on how to really use LinkedIn. And I'll put it in the chat. Yeah, so get into that. That's a whole hour on LinkedIn. Okay, now let's go back to my LinkedIn. Okay, so I got my profile. Once you have your profile, then you're ready to do things on LinkedIn. Oh, and you're more than welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn. The only thing I ask is when you go to connect with me, I want you to write me a note as to how you met me and why you'd like to connect with me. Okay. So always add a note, and don't connect with people from your phone. If you do it through the LinkedIn app, it won't prompt you to add a note. And I'm just going to get this generic invitation from you, and I don't know why you're reaching out to me. All right. So always add a note when it asks you for that note. Okay. Now I'm going to go. So remember, so let's take a keyword. Let's just take a keyword, game design. All right. I'm going to put game design in here. I'm going to click on that. And now I'm going to look for people on LinkedIn in game design. I'm also going to look at them by filters of where they live, maybe LA. I'll look for people in Buffalo. So these are all, now if LinkedIn member, that means I can't see their profile because I don't have enough connections to them, right? But here's other people in game design. I get searched by people. I can also search by one of the filters is by University of Buffalo. I could search by the school of UB. Now I'm going to look at them by, I'm going to search for jobs about game design, including experience level of internship and entry level in game design. Look at this. Here's a game designer entry, E-team in San Diego. Look what it says. There's one UB alum who works there, and that's the UB alum. It tells me who from UB is already working at the companies that I want to work at. Bam, I click on them. Here she is. I go to connect. I add a note. I'm starting a conversation. Okay. Also, on my LinkedIn profile, under my featured section right here, it's a sample professional introduction on how to reach out to someone on LinkedIn and then how to make a meeting with them, right? When you want to meet with someone, don't just say, hey, when are you available? Tell them 3 days, 3 times you're available, and then they can let you know what works for them. Okay. Last thing I'm going to do, then we go to our alums. Type in the search box Buffalo U, then go to University of Buffalo's LinkedIn page. This is a database now. When I click on alumni, of all the alumni, students like yourselves, and faculty and staff who are on LinkedIn from UB. I can sort them by where they live, city, what company they work on. Let's look for NBC Universal. Here, NBC Universal. I type that in there, scroll down. Here's the alums that work at AZ. Look, Joe Dixon, producer, NBC Universal, 2010 Media Studies alum. I click on his profile, I'm right there. Now I can just clear it. I can go to next. The next set of columns is for what they studied. What they study, media study. So let's go communications media study. We can do it by media, that's the company. Going here, now I'm going to go what they studied, media study. And I'm going to go mass communications media study. Here are the top companies that hire either students or alums in media studies, media. And here they are. Okay, so get on Handshake, get on LinkedIn, get on the Career Connector network, set up great conversations, talk about your work, and now listen to some great advice from alumni who have gone before you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ed. And I hope everybody paid attention because that's some good information that he gave us. I definitely will be using some of the stuff that he told me. So yeah, you guys should use it. So I would now like to introduce the UB alumni that we have coming on today. We have Alexandra Helms, Ronan May, who prefers to be called May, Dave Riffle, Hazel Arroyo, and Karen Sobieski Van de Linder as guest speakers today to discuss their respective fields of study and answer questions the audience may have. So we'll answer some questions at the end. But first, I just want everyone to go through and introduce yourselves, talk about your job, and as Ed talked about earlier, maybe talk about some skills you utilize and maybe some advice or other information that you'd like to share. So we could start maybe with Alexandra.
Okay, hello everyone. So I'm Alexandra. My short name is Sasha. I am a web designer / developer at a Buffalo marketing services company called Marketing Tech. Just a little bit about the company. It's we're sort of a marketing shop that does a lot of different things, and we help clients with their marketing campaigns. We do print, we do design, we do direct mail, and we do digital marketing, which is where I am, which is the department where I work. And despite my title, I actually do more than just web design and development. I am into all things digital marketing. I lead the search engine optimization efforts, paid campaigns, email marketing, basically anything you can think of, I am doing. That's also because the company is small. So a lot of us working there, we take on a lot of different roles. But my primary function is being a web developer, basically designing, building, launching websites. Um, so and before that, I was a digital marketing agency, digital marketing manager at a local startup company. And there I also did a lot of different things. And one thing in particular I wanted to mention is that I have actually been in the hiring seat twice throughout my career, basically hiring for the position to temporarily replace myself. And that have given me quite a different perspective on the whole, process of trying to obtain a job and look for a job and, apply and prepare for it. So if anybody is interested in that perspective, please let me know and I can speak more to that. And if anybody would like to connect with me on LinkedIn, please feel free to reach out. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll definitely have some time for questions if anyone has any for Alexandra at the end. So next, can we have maybe May talk about your career?
Hi everyone, I'm May and I'm currently a production assistant at WITN TV in Greenville, North Carolina. And anybody who is interested in TV news, you know, we have a DMA market and Greenville is in DMA market number 100. Buffalo is in number 52, by the way. And my job is basically working in control room, and I can separate like my job to two parts. First part is directing newscasts. Is like when we are on air, I'm the person who behind the scene to, you know, put video on or tell the anchor when to talk. And another part is master control operator, because we all watch TV before. We have shows and then commercials and then, you know, like newscast stuff. And I'm the person who wrote a commercial break and who received a signal from a satellite or downloading shows. And also sometimes I do upload videos, cutting videos to our website and stuff. Yeah, that's basically my job duty for now. And also I interned with Spectrum News Buffalo back in 2019. That was like getting my foot in the door of TV news industry. So if anyone is interested in TV news, feel free to, you know, ask me any kind of questions. I think for TV news is like a kind of special industry. First of all, news is always fast and always like kind of depressed, especially nowadays. You know what is going on nowadays. So you will have this like preparation that you are gonna face this every day. This is what you're gonna see. And like people get killed, get shot, but also you are the first person who know this information. So that's like why I like this industry. And for news, if you want to work in news, I would suggest you to start like practice writing and building network with people working news, like news producer, news director. Yeah. And if you want to work in TV news production, then I think if you're really interested in how newscasts be on air, how TV, those programs working, then you will be interested in TV production. And we don't have a high requirement for camera or microphone audio stuff, but you need to have really fast reaction. That's what I think of my job. And yeah, that's probably it. That's probably what I want to talk about. Just feel free to ask me any question if you're interested in this industry.
Thank you. That was very informative. Next, can we have Dave Riffle?
Hello, everyone. So great to be here. And thanks, Ed, for reaching out to me on LinkedIn to be here. I currently actually am a media teacher for the Buffalo Public Schools. I teach at the Buffalo Academy for Visual and Performing Arts, media communications. So our high school level students actually take a major at that school. So I have the same students for 2 periods a day and teach them everything from pre-production to publishing and all of the things in between. We have a TV studio, photography, music production, and all of that. So I never thought that I would get into teaching at all. So there I find myself, but I continue to have my own studio house. I live in Niagara Falls, which is where I am now, and I have a studio there at the Niagara Arts and Cultural Center. I'm always keeping my game up as a side hustle, but always keeping my network open. You know, I was thinking a lot about reflecting on my career as I look back. I graduated from the Media Studies Department in 2009, and now I get to bring my students to UB on the MATA field trip days, which is the Media Arts Teachers Association. We take students there and they get to display their work. And Mike Bocard was actually one of my teachers when I was at UB. He was one of my instructors there. And I always think of Mike every time I pick up a camera, every time, because he told me to always run your eye around the perimeter of the frame, you know, and like those little things always stuck with me so much. But I found that like the thread of my whole career has like woven in and out of opportunities that I volunteered my skills and my time for, and by doing so made connections with people that later gave me like career changing opportunities. It's probably a cliche thing about networking, but it's so true. I found that like, you know, Ava DuVernay, right? We all know her and love her. And one of the things that I have on my wall at my school is her quote, "If your dream only includes you, it's too small." And it's oftentimes we think of ourselves when we think of our career, but I just encourage everyone to think of others, because it's through your service and volunteer and connections that you meet people, and those people then give you career opportunities way later that you never dreamed of. And now I love my job. I never thought I'd be a teacher, and I get to teach media studies now to the next generation of media makers. And, you know, just by doing that quick little tangent, you know, Ed I met long ago, probably in 2008, when I was still a student at UB. And Ed, your work is incredible. The tools you're giving people with Handshake and teaching them about LinkedIn is incredible. But, you know, I got to meet Ed through a friend, Bob Orange, who was at Career Services at the time. I love your rebranding, by the way, Ed, it's great. But, you know, just through doing a project with those guys, I was able to navigate my way through future opportunities and making friends with them. And, you know, I have taken over 15,000 headshots of UB students at career conversations or the STEM fair or internship opportunities, career conversation events. I've done events for UB, and I've grown my network just inside of UB, and I've created a lot of freelance opportunities just at UB for being active with Ed and Bob 10 years ago, right? 11 years ago. And because of that work experience, I was able to land a full-time position as a teacher. So it's kind of full circle being here today. So thank you. And I really look forward to connecting with all of you on LinkedIn.
Thank you. Some more great advice. Thank you a lot. And didn't know you guys known each other before, so that was interesting to hear about. Next we have Hazel Arroyo. Welcome, Hazel.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Hazel, and I'm a game and curriculum designer at a company called Humans Who Play. It's a human-centered game design company based here out of Washington, D.C. And actually, in addition to that, I also work as a freelance consultant for the Playful City Lab that is based out of American University, which is my other alma mater, in addition to the lovely UB. So as part of my job at Humans Who Play, I mean, it's kind of self-explanatory as to what I do. I design games. I also design curriculum sets. Currently, I'm working on a few projects at Humans Who Play. I'm working with the Lego Foundation along with a couple of other organizations on something that's called Kenya Play. It's a current project we're working on to develop play-based and technology-based curriculum for schools in Kilifi and Kwale counties in Kenya. They're the counties that are coastal Kenya, just south of Mombasa. In addition to that, I also work with the NAF Academy schools, and I've been developing curriculum for their career and technical services curriculum sets, as well as their internship curriculum sets. So everything that Ed was talking about earlier can confirm that's all very good information. It's certainly information that I infuse in my curriculum sets. And then with my work with the Playful City Lab, I started those projects with them back when I was in graduate school and I was working as a grad assistant. And currently with them, I am in the process of co-designing and co-developing Hive Mechanic, which is an SMS-based game engine to do different like community-based games that are all through SMS rather than using something like an application that you have to develop. And it's all based on the idea of equity of game design. In terms of like people who are interested in getting into the field of game design, probably the best advice is to network extensively and to definitely take internships that are in the part of the field that you're interested in. So games and game development in particular has a lot of different subsets to it, and each subset kind of has its own set of skills that are helpful and useful. That being said, a lot of what I do is community-based games and educational games. While I was in graduate school, I interned with the Smithsonian Institution, specifically at their Science Education Center, also here in DC. And I got my job actually networking through a professor. So definitely it's a lot of working really hard, but also developing that network and just having really good timing sometimes. It's pretty hard sometimes to get a job in the middle of a pandemic. And then also just like communication skills in general. I've held a lot of different jobs. Before this, I worked in photography actually for a little while. I worked at a company called EBTH doing photography for them. I mean, I've also worked as a waitress. I worked as a financial aid advisor at the Art Institute of Seattle. I also worked while I was in graduate school at the Career Center at American University. And can say communication, regardless of what job you're in, is incredibly important. So I would definitely encourage you all to focus on that. And that being said, like happy to connect, happy to talk with anybody about game design, getting into the field, or if anyone is interested in the nitty-gritty details of how I graduated UB with a BA in physical anthropology and bioarchaeology and made my way to a career in game design. So thanks for having me.
Thank you, Hazel. As somebody that also works in customer service, I can tell you that it's definitely skills that is good to invest in and learn, because you don't know how much you're not prepared for some things until you get thrust into customer service. So I think it's a good skill to have. So, and our last panelist here is Karen, and I am glad to welcome her. I'm excited to hear about your work, and I hope everyone has questions for everybody at the end. So prepare those while we're listening to Karen.
Yeah, thank you. Just a quick overview of my education. You know, most, if not all of my education is from UB. I have a fine art degree, and at one time there was a program called computer art, which doesn't quite exist anymore. I have a certificate in new media design, which was from media studies. And that was about, you know, web design, interface design, and learning like coding. I did also apply that certificate to a master's degree in education, and I kind of customized that for myself because I was very much actually interested in teaching and curriculum design and things like that. So my focus kind of turned into a degree a teaching degree with a focus on new media, fine arts. So during that process, I also did some internships, and I didn't necessarily do those for credit, but I wanted the experience. And the experiences that I got were volunteering for the Albright Knox Art Gallery in their education department. I got to create some really cool projects for their weekly education programming. Also the UB Art Galleries. I volunteered over at the UB Anderson Gallery for several years beyond even that time I was a graduate student. That volunteer work just continued on for about 10 years. And then, as when I was a student, I got a graduate assistantship at UB. So I worked in quite a few different areas. I worked in UBIT communications, and then I went what used to be the Teaching and Learning Center. I worked there too. So for me, like what I love to do is I love to learn. So I tried to get as many experiences as I could. And what that does for you is it really gives you a very big variety of skills. So don't be afraid to like volunteer some time at an organization that you're interested in, because that will stand out on your resume. And then eventually I ended up where I am now in public health. And, I started there as a distance learning kind of coordinator when people were learning from a distance. So that kind of then developed into this role that I have now, where I'm managing all of our websites. I manage like a team of people that edit websites over different departments in our school. So I do get to use my teaching skills in that regard, which I do love. And in the past couple of years, I've started taking over our social media accounts. So who really like is an expert in social media still at this point, but it's been really fun to like learn and learn new things. So I guess my biggest advice is like a job in higher ed. You do a lot of things like maybe, and you do it in other jobs too, but you get to learn all the time. And that's one thing that I really love. So that's kind of what I do in a nutshell, plus a few other things here and there.
Thank you, everybody. It was really interesting hearing about all your different professions and your advice. I'm sure that everyone will definitely appreciate those. And now I open up the floor to anyone who might have questions for any of our panelists to ask them now. You can also put them in the chat, and me and Jillian will be moderating, sorry, and ask them for you if you don't want to be in the recording or anything like that. So it looks like Olu has a question already. What was your experience of finding work right after graduation? This is open to anyone.
So I would like to talk about this topic because I graduated at May last year, and I started my job was September. So, and I got this job is like in August. So I have 3 months time looking for this job. It was definitely like a journey for me. So after I graduate, I tried so many ways because I just want to work in news. So I applied for producer because I have a producer reel, which is like when I interned with Spectrum News, I built news A block for myself, and my intern coworker, they anchored them. So I kind of have a work sample. I sent out them to so many news stations. I didn't hear anything. And then it has been like a month or two. I didn't hear anything. Even though I tried all the LinkedIn connection method, I emailed those news directors, I just didn't hear anything. So afterwards, I talked to my manager when I was intern with Spectrum News, and she said, when you apply for a job in news station, after the application, you go on LinkedIn or their news station website and find out their news director. Or like, let's say I apply for production manager, then I got, I apply for production assistant, then I got to find out who's the production manager. And if I can get the email, it's like really, really good. If not, I can connect them on LinkedIn. And as Ed said, just, add a note and connect with them. And afterwards, I try this method. I find out those people and then I email them or I message them in any kind of platform. I said, hi, this is, I'm Rona May, and I just applied for which position. I think I'm a very competitive candidate because my background is in media or video production or news. I'm looking forward to talk to you. And back in August, I actually got 2 interview notice. My current job is kind of like my manager just chose my resume. He took a look at my resume. He just like, I just want her. But meanwhile, I got another offer. That news director was in Iowa. That was quite an interesting story because when I was just building network, I connect with him. And then I said, hey, could you please take a look at my production reel and give me some suggestions? So he was really nice. He gave me a lot of useful suggestions. And I was like, I also wondered that are your station hiring right now? And he said, sorry, we're not right now, but good luck with job searching. And a month later, I saw his station has an opening of production assistant. So I directly reached out to this news director. I was like, I'm really interested in this position and I applied. So if you got time, we can, talk about this. And then he just said, yeah, do you have time next Monday? So I got an interview. I got a job offer from that station. So this is quite an interesting story, especially like for people who build network. Those 2 months I spent time on network, I thought I was like, there's nothing will come back, but you just never know. Those people you network with in some day, they will help you in a way you need. Yeah. And that's the thing I want to share. I feel it's like really interesting. And till now, I'm still trying to networking with different news directors, different, anchor, producer, reporters, because I think in news industry, the most important thing is just networking, because news people has that kind of personality that they just want to know more people. Yeah, that's all I want to share for people who wants to work in news or maybe not in working news. I just want to say networking is really, really important.
That's awesome. Thank you. David, we do have a question for you from Sean Johnson. And it says, were you also into independent filmmaking and were you looking to work for film studios within the film industry? What is your advice with having an ambitious goal related to becoming a professional filmmaker and breaking into the industry? It's a bit of a long question. There's the chat as well if you want to reference.
Yeah, that's a great question. To answer the first one, I was always into independent filmmaking, but I wasn't looking for a job in film studios. But my advice with having an ambitious goal related to becoming a professional filmmaker is just do it. Like so many people feel like they need permission to do things, but I was working with a guy who was the spokesperson for a retail store I was doing commercials for, and he said there's nothing like people who say they're filmmakers and then you ask them what's your last film and they have nothing to share. It's like filmmakers make films, so I would make as many films as you can. And then like Ed pointed to all of those amazing resources, connecting with people is the very next thing that you can do. And one thing to piggyback off of what May was saying, there's nothing that don't ever feel like you're above a project. Like take every opportunity that you can get because those skills will play to your advantage later in the future and you never know. So when I was first coming out of UB, I was doing anything that I can get. Anything relating with media and video production. And I ended up getting a job because I was helping make training videos. Like no one goes to film school so you could go and make training videos for a hardware store. I don't know the first thing about hardware. I'm the last person to make training videos, but I was able to connect with the people who were knowledgeable about DIY and upcycling. And because I helped them make those videos, there was a need in that company, Value Home Centers. It's a regional, they cover 4 major markets in the Northeast, and they have 40 locations. It's a great local business with stability. And I was able to land that job because I helped them in their area of need. They needed training videos. Then I was able to then elevate as a multimedia producer and rebrand their whole company and then create their TV commercials and then leave that place. And now I get to make independent short films with teenagers, which is even more cool because it's like so crazy all over the place. So I hope that answers your question, but really it's just do it all. Go and make some films and become a grip. There's a local, there's more and more production houses opening up in Buffalo, especially across from Tesla. There's a new studio that's being created. And so these internships are huge. Just go and create. You don't need anyone's permission.
I can add to that actually. I definitely agree with Dave. I think I just thought as he was talking, another thing that helped me once I graduated, and I graduated in 2017, which I think it's relatively not too long ago. You kind of, when I was going to school, I had this idea in my head as to where I wanted to go career-wise. And I think when you have that, it kind of narrows your choices a little bit. And if you just think a little bit outside of that box and just kind of think of your specific skills and don't narrow your industry, but think of maybe other more general terms of describe it, and look outside of like a traditional way you would look at your industry. For instance, I mean, web designer myself, you may think about, web agencies or coding shops and things like that. But the truth is a lot of companies have in-house web designers and in-house teams. And that could be in healthcare, that could be in a lot of different industries. And, if you just expand your search a little bit, that might be very helpful. And for me, personally, I kind of tapped into the whole digital marketing sphere, and I found that there's a lot of opportunities there, both in terms of internships and entry-level jobs. And then, like, once you get in somewhere, like Dave said, you start doing all these different things, and then the next thing you know, you have a different title, and then you kind of build an experience and a resume as well, and a portfolio too. And then the next step you can take, it's already not going to be an entry level thing. You will have something to show, and you can expand and jump into the industry even that is more towards your that fits more with your goals.
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree with that too. Is there any?
Yeah, I had a question. A question for David, but I guess anyone could answer really. I was just wondering, I mean, all having, full-time jobs in the industries that you want to do and like doing the stuff that you want to do, I'm sure that's enjoyable, but do you still make time for like passion projects or just like, work or just being in your field, but doing it just for fun or just stuff outside of work? How do you make time for that? Do you make time for that? And how do you balance the two things?
Can I answer real quick and then I'll pass it just real quick, because just Friday night I was down in Allentown filming a dancer because Janet Jackson's birthday is on Saturday. And so he reached out to me and said, hey, he's a TikToker and he wanted to make a video for her. And so I was just down there getting no money to do so, just because he's a great dancer. It's a chance for me to sharpen my skills, go down to Allentown and do some shots. And because I have that full-time job, it takes all the pressure off of those passion projects. And it's like, this is a chance to make something for fun rather than always trying to create for money. So I think I've always kept that side going of volunteerism and passion projects just because it keeps you sharp.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I feel like, you know, you can do other things too in the creative field that will enhance your other skills in your day-to-day work. So I've taken a pottery class that, you know, is a way to again, take the stress of the day off, and just learn something new. And you never know what kind of ideas are going to develop from that. Yeah, like play. That's awesome. So
Yeah, I have to echo what everyone has been saying, especially in the field of game design. I think every game developer that I am aware of does side projects all the time. In fact, something that's pretty common in the game development community is something that's called a game jam, where essentially there's a theme that's brought forward, and you typically have anywhere between 24 and 48 hours to just make a game from scratch. And I mean, it's not just about sharpening skills and whatnot. Sometimes it's honestly about just having the fun with it. And it kind of reminds you of why you got into that industry in the first place. I've got a group of friends who we all went to graduate school together that we sometimes will host our own game jams, just like us as friends. And it's about just having fun with it and maybe working on skills that you tried to hone yourself, and maybe that's not your specialty. I'm by no means an artist, but I can get some pixel art going. And so on a game jam, maybe I'll take some time and just practice my art skills because I don't normally get to do that. Which actually leads to probably the best piece of advice I got in grad school. On our first day, one of our professors told us look around the room and take note, because these are going to be your colleagues when you get into industry. So start your networking with your peers, and of course network beyond, but don't over or underestimate your peers. Those are going to be sometimes people that hire you and sometimes you hire them. So yeah.
I actually had a question, just in terms of moving around within the media field. I think I'm at that point where it's I'm still kind of new. I'm a transfer student here at UB, so I'm really just getting into media, even though I am a junior, and really finding where I want to be specifically. It's so hard for me to pinpoint. I say video editor, but I really just want to be on a set and working on a set. So I wanted to ask, this is really for all of you, because I know a lot of you guys have had so many different jobs and opportunities. What do you have to say about the media field in terms of being able to move around freely, being able to jump from one job to the next under the realm of media? Is it difficult, or is media the type of field that really is accommodating to that?
So I think it's not hard. And by the way, I was a transfer student too. My first major was accounting, and I transferred to media study. And for me, my first internship was back in my hometown. I was a reporter. And then when I get in UB, my second internship, I went to Limmer Studio and 48-hour film project as an editor and stuff. And then I go to Spectrum News to have another internship, and now to my current position. And I know a lot of folks, they folk working news, the producer, they're I'm done with news. I don't want to be in this depressed anymore. So they go to be a communication specialist. And some of our photog or our creative service photog, they want to be a a filmmaker, make their own film, or they shoot commercials outside of the field. So I would say it's pretty easy to just transfer around in this field, because I think media study is a giant industry, there are a lot of things, web design, game design, news, film, there are a lot of things. So I think it's definitely, you can just like transfer around, but as long as you have your own skills, then I don't think you will have any problem. Yeah.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. I mean, there's a friend of mine from grad school who actually started in news production. I'd say the game industry in general is really about what can you do and what have you worked on. It honestly, you don't even need a bachelor's degree to go and be a game developer. As long as you can prove, like, if you're applying for a programming position, you know how to code and you can prove that, like, you will get hired. So I think media in general, there's a lot of transferable skills, which makes it nice to kind of move around and be able to find your interest, as long as you have the skills to back up whatever it is that you're applying for.
I think it's also like almost expected of people nowadays to kind of be able to jump into different things. I've been an intern in the news field as well. That was a bit too fast-paced for me, so I didn't end up pursuing that. But when I was there, I almost felt like I was expected to kind of, show that initiative and pick a thing that I was gonna do. Um, so that's definitely true for that. And also with my other jobs, it's almost like if you can get into a company as an intern and figure out where you can bring value and kind of create a niche for yourself, you're creating an opportunity for yourself to stay beyond your internship as well.
Yes, absolutely. And I know that Ella had a question as well.
Yeah, so I was wondering, I'm like thinking far into the future about careers, and I'm really interested in teaching media studies or just photography classes for high school students or middle school students. And I was just wondering, do you need to get an MFA for that in fine arts? And then I was also wondering, because I have a passion for just like photography in general and just traveling, how do you get into the niche topics of maybe like wedding photography and like pitching yourself to the people when you've never really had experience before?
I'd love to answer that because I minored in photography at UB across the hall from DMS, and it was great. But I did a bunch of weddings, I did a bunch of stuff. My advice, no, you don't need an MFA. No, you don't need even a bachelor's in education to be a teacher, because I never thought I'd be a teacher. You need work experience. And then you go and work in the industry and actually do the things you say you love for a couple of years, at least 3, at a corporate place or a wedding studio somewhere, or whatever it is that you love to do, photography. And then you get a letter of recommendation from them or proof of employment, and then you apply and you go and you can teach at the high school level. And there's a New York State education is like a crazy wormhole of a mess to navigate through. But if you connect with me, I'd love to talk to you more about how I did it magically. Because
Yes.
it's so much fun. And anytime you want to come to performing arts high school, I'd introduce you to the media, because media is so vague. Back to the last question too, it's like, it's so vague. It's literally, it means plural, right? Of medium. Like there's
Yeah.
so many different kinds of mediums you can create in photography, and there's so much overlap too, even with sound. When you're mixing for video or game design or sound design or podcasts, you're also learning all of those skills that are going to transfer over to music production. And you get to work with musicians. I love music. I'm a musician myself. And now I get to create music videos, and so like you just do the thing that you love. That's the most important thing. And I think like Jillian, if you transferred from into being media, it's like, why? Like, what else do you love? Like any industry that you love, they need promotional material, they need commercials, they need content. You can become a content creator in some other area, because there's always a need for media in every field, and it's never been more relevant. So, I mean, I'm learning Procreate now, and I'm not an animator, but my students are in animation, and now I'm going to learn some animation. But, you know, look at the credits of any production, any TV show, any movie. Look at the credits. How many different careers are in the credits, you know? And then I look up those people on LinkedIn. You know, we'll look at the New York Times, OpDocs, you know, YouTube channel, and we'll research those people on LinkedIn. Tala Schlossberg is one of them we just recently looked at. She did this whole piece for New York Times. Look her up on LinkedIn, connect with her. You know, these people are so accessible. So yeah, I don't know, but connect with me later and we can talk more about education stuff.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Dave, can I just jump in? So yeah, that's a great piece of advice, is taking two parts of your life and connecting them. So let's say you're a foodie and you really love food, cooking. Well, do media around that, because there's a whole media, you know, cooking or food media industry. Yeah.
That's a really good point that you made. I kind of wanted to ask Karen a question, because I know that we talked about previously before we did live that you had some information maybe about some summer internships that people can get involved in as well if you want to, you know, network yourself and put yourself out there for some live action work.
Well, I do actually have a couple of, I have one tip and then I'll talk about that too. Recently, because I work in social media now as part of my job, you know, I'm always on there just kind of looking at local organization stories and etc. And a lot of groups will advertise internships on Instagram stories. So if you're not on Instagram, get on there and start following their stories, like places that you're really interested in, because I'll see internships posted there for students, but they're nowhere else. They want they want the people who are following them to be like their content creator. So for example, like Step Out Buffalo Business, they have people, they want to hire interns for the summer or the fall. So check that out. But over in public health, we would love to have a media intern for the summer to help us work on some video projects for our website, for our social media. And those are things like tours of some of our labs, like video tours of some of our labs, some wayfinding videos of the campus. Lots of other really fun projects like that. I'm involved in a little project for the summer. We're putting together an herb garden on South Campus. So we want to document that and do something really fun with that. So those are the types of projects that, you know, an intern would be working on. And, you know, we take it really seriously when we do bring media students in. We make sure they're getting that good experience. They're not just going to be like sending an email or something like that. They're going to be doing actual work, because we treat those students like they're part of our team, not quote unquote just a student. So we really value them as like a colleague while they're working with us. So it's something to consider. If anyone is interested, you know, you can definitely reach out to me and we can see what we can do.
Yeah, that sounds like some good opportunities. I just want to ask if there's any more questions before we start our wrap up here. Any final questions for any of our panelists? Hey, if not, I would like to truly thank all the panelists that came on today, and Ed Brodka and Sama for giving students some more information on how to get connected in the media study department. And then I'll hand it over to Jillian.
Yes, exactly what Casey said. Thank you guys so much. We would not be able to put this event together without all of you guys. So thank you so much. Thank you, Ed, for putting this together and being so communicative, and for Sama for reaching out for students to have more information about UB Films. I know we went a little bit over time, but I just think, especially for the recording, this is so important for media students, especially since it's virtual, just connecting with them and letting them know that, you know, there's so many opportunities out there within the media field. So thank you guys so much, sincerely. And for our students, tomorrow will be the closing night of this DMS Student Showcase. And we're going to have an award ceremony to award students for their outstanding media works and achievements during their course at the University of Buffalo. And later on, there will be a showing of the award-winning students' works for viewers to experience. So be sure to check that out for the students. And thank you guys so much again.
Thank you, everyone.
All right, see you guys later. Thank you so much.